gotta raise our hands. We gotta go one at a time and raise our hands. It's the only way to have an orderly meeting. It's the only way to have an orderly meeting.
Let's talk.
The level of the sidewalks right now meet the level of the property lines. Unless you change the elevation of the curb. If you come up with the curb, there's a problem. Okay, if you go low with the curb, there's not a problem. But if you raise the elevation, listen, I've been in the business for 37 years in the underground world. So there's nothing you can bring up in this meeting that I don't know. All right? But the answer I got on the phone from Mr. Singh was that we were going to move the fence in, come down to the stoop, come out, in, out, in, out. And that's ridiculous. But I still like to know why you look for 15 feet. Why Monitor Street? Why just Monitor Street? Why didn't you go to North Henry or Jewel Street or Newell Street?
I have an alternative proposal.
Oh, good.
Okay? Somebody already suggested it, but I know that the street from Greenpoint Avenue to Norman Avenue, Monitor Street, is not owned by the city. It's a DMAP street. That's why you never got it paved after all these years. Why don't you use the stimulus money to purchase Monitor Street from Greenpoint Avenue to Norman Avenue so that you can install sewers and do what's necessary in order to make that a viable street. It's a thoroughfare that's used by everybody who lives in Greenpoint, and we have to suffer through potholes because the city doesn't fix them.
It's been paid.
Is it true that Monitor Street was never in the original proposal when you went before the planning board?
It was. Actually, on the contrary, Monitor Street from Nassau to Greenpoint was a part of it. But the last two blocks, we ran into the title. In order for the city to build a street, they have to have the full title of the street, which Monitor they do. The other two blocks from Norman to Greenpoint, we don't. So the process is on. Acquisition process is on for that.
This is to use the stimulus money that you have. And Monitor, between Norman and Nassau, is a beautiful street. And it's got only the character of what originally Greenpoint was. Right. There's no reason to be right.
But
it makes no sense.
During the construction, we may be able to keep most of it. That's what I was going to say.
No, you should keep all of it.
Okay. The two things. When we find out where, where the cut is going to be, and if the person does not have a footing, then that could come down. But they can always put it back. City cannot put it back because it's an encroachment.
You have plenty of other streets you could use.
We're gonna have.
This was a DOT scope, so we can only.
It's beautiful. They came.
No, I understand. DOT. This was DOT scope. We only go in and do what. Remember, DOT is our client, and they give us a work. We design it and we build it, and that's the way it works. So
We're gonna have questions from other than you've set it up, but you can say more later.
Okay, let people that haven't asked a question ask theirs first. We'll come back to you.
right.
We'll come back to
Can
you.
we discuss Nassau Avenue and what's happening there?
Yes.
Because that also involves students and...
It's the same. It's the same case by case. We have to go and take a look at it. And
I have an issue with that because you're asking for 11 feet and 9 inches. That goes right up to my mother's building. So how does she get in the house?
even in that situation, like I said, we would have to look at that and see if we are bringing it. Let's say right where the fence is. Right where the fence is. And if I can accommodate, and during the construction, if that fence can stay up on its own, then it stays on. If it does not, and if it's, we see that it's going to fall off, they're going to come down for the construction. Contractor won't put it back.
No, it goes right up. The building goes building.
I'm not even concerned about the fence in my particular case. Not even the fence is an issue. There's a stoop and a door. If you remove that stoop,
We're not removing the stoops.
what's and under the
There are
and under the basement,
right.
under the stoop, that's fine.
Yeah, some of the fences have, what I've noticed is, you have a fence, and then this level is down here because they have windows. Fine, if they can stay, and if I can put the ADA compliant sidewalk right up there, so be it. It's individual case by case, that's what I'm trying to say. This is not the time when our CCL and our resident engineers, when they look at the survey, analyze, and then they will go and visit each one of you to see, you know, what kind of,
If I can say something, I think that what everyone's doing is
All right. Let's
I
have,
think what we would like to clarify is that, one, the encroachment letters had to be sent out. It's a formality. It doesn't necessarily mean that what is on paper is the reality of what we're dealing with in the field. So what we're trying to clarify at this meeting, and Mike Meaton is trying to say, is that when we go to your property, before any construction or anything happens, we will take a second assessment. We will do an assessment of that property. And we have to be concerned with transitions. So if a stoop goes to the doorway, obviously that doesn't make sense. So what it works on paper doesn't necessarily work in real life. So we have to take that into consideration. So during construction, when the contractor comes on, does the survey, does another survey or assessment, then we deal with the realities of what's in the field and what conceivably, what makes sense at that given time. So what's on paper doesn't necessarily mean that that's what's going to happen, okay? But we have to send it out as a formality to inform the public that these are the affected properties that we're looking at within a project. So we are, in good faith, letting you know ahead of time that the city, as far as the city is concerned, and the information that we have, based on the information that we have from the consultant, that there is an encroachment. Does that necessarily mean that you're going to lose that area or that particular, you know, whatever it is, 5 feet, 11 feet? No, it doesn't necessarily mean that. So that's what we're trying to say. We're just trying to clarify that, again, the realities, we deal with the realities, although what you received is what's on paper. It doesn't necessarily mean that that's what's going to happen.